that's my next question, Sandy, is like the surveillance that you all endured in the field. Like, so this is a company that on one hand, very private, don't want to engage with reporters, was not forthcoming when you were trying to get your questions answered, but then you go in the field and you constantly, they are, on your tracks. So how did you manage to avoid that kind of pressure and surveillance, and also protect your sources, the people who were opening up to you?
Well, I'll say something, and I'm sure Euclides can add quite a bit. But one of the things that we realized when we got kicked out, we were already quite wary because they made it clear that Central Romana would not speak with us. They would not give us a tour. We tried many ways to get to talk to them. They would only communicate by email. To this day, they've only communicated with us by email. But after that first time we got kicked out, is fairly early in our reporting process. And, we were a bit rattled, and we got out of there. First, we tried to go to the headquarters and ask them, why are you doing this? We think we have the right to be here. We've been in touch with people. That did nothing. And then we were driving, and all of a sudden the phone rang, and it was somebody from a rival sugar company. They're all kind of work together, who actually happens to be a cousin of the PR guy that we were dealing with at Central Romano, who called Euclides and said, "Oh, I hear Sandy Tolan's in the country." Well, I hadn't told anybody I was going to be in the country. Like, I hadn't told anybody in Central Romano that we were there. So and then I called a former U.S. ambassador to the country, and he said, "Oh, I can't talk to you while you're there, because I don't care what software you have. I don't care what app you have and how encrypted it is. Nothing's encrypted." And so we all of a sudden realized we need to be very, very quick about this. It happened a couple of other times when we got kicked out, but we would park behind houses, park behind trees. We would try to just stay for 10 or 20 minutes, or half an hour max. A couple times, remember, Euclides, we turned off, we went into airplane mode, because we were really concerned that we were being followed. And, it wasn't, in this case, sometimes it's paranoia, but in this case, it was actually practical. So one of the disadvantages is we didn't get the life stories sometimes that we wanted, with those long interviews you do, and you get into the history and why did you come and how do you feel. Right when we were asking that question it was when we got kicked out the first time. So we developed a strategy of being quick. And, there was one point where we needed to get evidence that people were stirring chemicals with these open vats and just, big, dangerous, big vats of dangerous chemicals. And I would stick out if I was to go into one of those places and try to interview people. And Euclides very bravely volunteered to go in so that we could document that. And I wonder, Euclides, if you could tell the story about that day that you went to record and take pictures in like a 3-minute stop, I think. And I was worried about you the whole time.
The day they was like moving the big tank of pesticide.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I thought was very milk. I thought was milk, but was pesticide because it's very white and very light. And yeah, because I want video and picture, and I saw the guy there because there is a source that Euclides. Tomorrow morning, very early in the morning, you have to follow them if you want to see that in the ground. So I get up very early in the morning. I hide myself in the middle of the sugarcane. When the carts they bring all of the gallons and all of that stuff to work in the ground. So I follow them. I give them that distance just to they don't have time to stop me or something, because I give them like 20 minutes to have everything down and open the gallon and mix everything, and I just go there, went there, and just have some videos. And I was talking to the guys like, oh, ¿qué es eso? ¿Eso es que es pesticida? Sí, pesticida. Sí, okay. But they don't know who am I, if I'm journalist or. I think there was one guy in the whole group who knows who am I. But he said, Euclides, you have to hurry up if you, because if our boss find you here in this place, taking picture and making videos, you could be in trouble. So I made that I made the picture and I just come out of that place. But I feel you can feel the very warm energy, una energía muy caliente y peligrosa. If, because doing journalism in the Central Romana area, there is no Dominican journalist doing that in this country.
It's probably the most dangerous assignment right now in the Dominican Republic.
Because there is a very dangerous thing in that place. So that's why the Dominican media in Dominican Republic doesn't do anything like investigation, a Haitian who's living in the Santa Romana Batallas to do anything there. Because of the experience I had before with Amy Bracken, is a journalist who was working for the PRI, and we did a report for Jazeera. So that gives me experience to keep doing this. And I find this extraordinary journalist, Sandy Tolan, and also Michael, because when I was on the ground looking for information, interviewing people, I have many messages from Sandy and also Michael to say, okay, now do this. What do you think if you do that? If you look for this information, interview these people, if you can find this. That was a very wonderful. That's a very great experience in my life, and that and I can say that make more responsible on you when you have some people like this guiding you to do it very well in the ground and doing journalism. I think these two guys is great.
Having worked with Michael before, I can attest to how wonderful it is to know that he has your back. Michael, you wanted to make a quick point?
Yeah, just that, I mean, we were very careful in these situations that, you know, essentially Sandy and Euclides were invited into people's homes, you know, in terms of visiting the bateys. And we were very careful about this. I just want to say other thing in terms of colleagues. You know, we're really lucky, and I think for younger reporters to think about this, that, you know, we are following in the footsteps of amazing work that other journalists have done, the Associated Press's work on forced labor in Asia, and the way in which this one thing leads to another. The Associated Press worked on the seafood industry in Asia, seafood that comes to the US. And that set in motion, that spurred Congress to tweak some laws that makes it easier for US Customs to block the imports of things like cotton from China or palm oil. And we really used some of that work as a guide to think about forced labor and our reporting. And it was extremely helpful. And lo and behold, I don't want to get ahead of things, but when our story did come out, you know, there were calls from Congress for US Customs to look into this. And we don't exactly know what's going to happen, but we can certainly thank all this earlier reporting. And it's just really useful to even reach out to some of those journalists. Typically, they're happy to chat, you know, give advice. So I just wanted to throw that out.
That's it. That's a great tip. So build on each other's work rather than reinvent the wheel and start like if nobody has done anything before you got to the story.